Okay, so what we're trying to do is we have this list called list, and at the moment it's got some elements in 4, 7, 5, 6, 3. So this element here is list 0, this is list 1, list 2, list 3, and list 4. And our goal is to swap these two over. So we want to be able to swap the 7 and the 5 over. So in other words, this will end up being a list that looks like 4, 5, 7, 6, 3. That's what we want. But how do we do that? That's the question. So we have suggested perhaps that this code is okay. This code here, is it okay or not? Well, let's analyze this code. First of all, what we have here, this is the assignment operator. So in other words, we're assigning whatever is in list 2 to become the value that is in list 1. And list 1 is in 7. So in other words, what this first line of this code is doing is saying list 2 becomes whatever is in list 1. So this list 2, which is currently a 5, is going to become a 7. So that's what that first line does there. So okay, so we've now done that. So that becomes a 7, and that's done. And you can see immediately that the problem is, by doing that, we've overridden the 5 that was there. Remember, there was a 5 here, but we copied this 7 over this, and we suddenly lose the 5. So it's gone. So this code won't work. So the question is how can we do that instead? So let's put the 5 back there. Well, what we want to be able to do is not lose this 5 when we copy the 7 over. We want to, in other words, we want to store whatever is in there in some sort of temporary variable. So what we could do is to write out or assign some temporary variable equal to whatever list 2 is in there. Okay. So in other words, we want to store this out, this value of 5, into this temporary variable. That means we don't lose it. So that when we copy this first line of code, so when we do use this first line of code here, even though we do overwrite whatever's in this cell, we're not going to lose the contents because we've taken a copy of it down here. Okay, so this first line of code is actually now okay as long as we have, first of all, done this temporary storage. So our first line is create the temporary storage, and now we want to say list 2 becomes equal to list 1. So what happens here is that our array now is going to look like 4, 7, 7, 6, 3, because the 5 that was there is being replaced by this 7. Okay, so afterwards, then we can swap. Now we want to put this 5 back into the 7, into where the 7 was. So in other words, we're going to say what list 1 becomes. Well, it isn't list 2, like this line suggests, because list 2, of course, is now a 7, but of course it becomes whatever this temporary storage was. And that means that we have now our desired 4, 5, 7, 6, 3.